Hello everyone, Strikoder here and welcome back to a new episode of the OSCP journey. In today's episode we're gonna solve a Windows easy machine on HackTheBox called Cicada, so let's get started. First of all, I made a directory in my home called Cicada, and I've already connected to the VPN, and here we're running the Nmap, and we're using the -SS and -A to see all these open ports. We see the discovered open ports IRL, while we have the -V, and we see the port 53 or 53 open, which is the DNS. So we can start by enumerating DNS. Over here, I'm searching for the DNS enumeration, but I can't find it. So here is it, and we see DNS enum, and what do we need to give? So IB. Okay, so we don't have the enough information to use this because we need to enter the domain as well. So I will start then move to the next port, which is no auth SMB. I always like to start with SMB. Let me check. Okay, so we don't have underscore, so it's just no auth SMB. And here we type IP and we check the results. So under the hood, no auth SMB runs SMB client, runs as well netexec. You can check the code on GitHub as always. I always do some few changes here and there after a while, or after I take an exam. For instance, after I took the PT1, I changed the script. And let's move on while the script is still running. And here we see the results got printed back to us in the terminal, and we see the RID brute to get through the RPC clients, the usernames. So sometime you might not get all the users, or you might get a lot of false positives or disabled accounts. So the best way, as always, to get them through LDAP if you can. In our case, we started dumping the shares as well. So we saw that we had HR as anonymous. So I'm trying to reach that share as well. So let me check anonymous. Is it? Yep. Anonymous. All right. And I'm gonna now try to authenticate to it. Let me change the directory at first to the directory that I made, and then I'm gonna try SMB client. Over here the IP. So you can either export IP or type the IP as you may. I've already exported all the variables. And -n for the anonymous. And here we see notice from HR. So let me try and download that. So you can either type download, or you can type get the name, or mget star might work. So let me check. I'm gonna exit. Yeah, it's not downloaded. It's not downloaded. Nope. Let me check again. So get notice from. Okay, we see object name not found is still here. So it's because of the spaces. Let me add the single quotes. So I really suck with the SMB client. I had a similar experience with spaces and those stuff. So I really hate that. Let me try again. And I'm gonna type, as I've told you, mget star and press enter. Yep. And in case you had too many files, you can, whenever you like, press prompt off and recurse on and download all the files. So I'm just trying to check. Okay, now we have it. That's great. So we see that the password is here. Welcome to Cicada Corp, and your default password is Cicada. Let me copy that to the clipboard. So because I'm using Kali with Tmax, it sucks copying through mouse, so I need always to select that and copy that through keyboard shortcuts, Vim shortcuts to be more precise. And here I'm gonna export all, which is a function that I created to use export on all Tmax panels. But that's strange. Each time I paste the password, I get this, which is not autocomplete. Don't mistake that with autocomplete or auto-suggestion, because I've turned that off. But however, each time I paste the password, it complete that. So I'm gonna add single quotes just in case. We have, as they say in German, sowieso. Anyway, we have the exclamation mark. So we needed the single quotes because some tools that are written in bash, or if you are getting your output printed to you at the terminal, they get either wiped out or by the bash script not executed rightfully. And over here we see, okay, I'm gonna check the usernames that we had from the SMB, and I'm gonna delete the default usernames that I don't need. Dev, those are groups, guest, I don't need that. Key, no either. Schema, read only. So I'm left with those. I don't need the machine account. Kerber roasting, ticket, grant ticket, I don't need that either. Most of the time you're gonna have the hash of that, not the password or anything that most of the time you will spray or check or use Kerber roast. Maybe with Kerber roasting or ASREP roasting, maybe you can do these kind of attacks on the Kerber roasting ticket granting tickets. I'm not sure, don't quote me on that, but I'm gonna check and pass and spray the password that we had. Let me use continue on success to spray the password on all the usernames that we collected. So we had it. Well, I keep saying we had it. We had only one more additional user that we didn't spray. However, we see that Michael or Michael, as they say in Russian, or Michael, as they say in German. So whatever you want, we had that password getting connected with that password. So I'm gonna export the user, as I've said, Michael, Michael, or Michael, whatever you want, dot Rickstone, Rickson, or whatsoever, and I'm gonna try to connect with WinRM. We've seen through Nmap that we had WinRM up. So here we don't have bound between in braces between after the name. Let me check. I believe we had WinRM. So here LDAP, over there where maybe we don't. Let me try with LDAP. Okay, so we have LDAP access. We can use Bloodhound or LDAP domain dump or any LDAP search. We have SMB. We've seen that with SMB we didn't have bound, so we cannot use psexec or all whatsoever. All the tools that give us access. Let's check the browser. We have 443 HTTPS. Let me check. So over here, I'm gonna type, excuse me. So we can, let me check, HTTPS, port 53, I mean, it's not 443. So I'm gonna Google, and what was this? 135 and 593, so it's maybe just an RPC port. We don't need that. And 636, which is LDAP-S, and we see LDAP again, LDAP-S, and yeah, we see WinRM. Yeah, it's up. Okay, then we don't have access through that user. I believe when we don't have WinRM up by NXC or netexec, we don't see that we've tried. We just see that we didn't have any output. Okay, so let me check. If not WinRM, let me check with SMB, but with shares. Maybe we have more shares that we have read or write or access to. And we see dev, we see C, we see here over that HR, still the same. I don't know if we got a new user and we have the same share. Do we have some cases that we have more files on the same share? I'm not really sure. Please let me know in the comment section if this a thing. So I'm gonna just check authenticated SMB within my my commands, and I provide these, and I'm gonna run that. So we need to provide the domain name. So here is the DC name. Here we see the domain name, which is ended or appended by 0. This is just for Nmap, so that it tells you here is the domain. So whenever you try to define that, just remove the 0 and the dot after that. So our domain is cicada.hackthebox, as you would expect from a HackTheBox CTF. Usually in IRL you would see .com or .local. It really depends on the company structure. Over here I provide -d, the IP of the machine that you are scanning, not of the domain controller. That's why we need to provide -d for domain. However, you can run the script without the -d and you get as a local administrator, as local authentication, I mean, not with domain. And let me check. So over here, the shares, they are still the same. So in the script that I used, over here we find --domain, --shares, password policy. You can check when you want to spray. And over here we see --groups, which you can enumerate as well by LDAP. Okay, so the script finished. That's why I went down. And over here the DP API, where you can dump some stuff, some credentials. And over here Spider Plus and GP password. I really like netexec because it makes your life easier. GP auto login, Wi-Fi credentials, PuTTY, Lassie, PowerShell, RDC map, backup operator. So backup operator here, if you had access as backup operator group or privileges, it tells you, so you can make a backup and get the credentials or dump the SAM and LSAS and the system.hive. I believe we've already made solved the machine about that. However, let me get back to the result over here and check. So I believe, yeah, we don't dump everything. Maybe I need to edit the script, or at least make it dump everything from the output and make .log. Let me check my scripts again. So auth LDAP, I prefer to use this. I'm gonna show you why in a second, but let me just remember how to use that. So it's IP, username, password, domain, and I provide LDAP or LDAP-S. So some domains force you to use the SSL or the secure LDAP. So in that case, you can use LDAPs with S, but most of the time you're gonna use just the LDAP in CTF. Okay, I'm getting an error, invalid credentials, which is weird. Have I done something wrong with the... Let me check. Do I have any typo or with the parameters? So Control R to search the history for the specific thing that you are searching for. I really like that about Linux. I don't believe we had, or we still don't have anything related to that in PowerShell. Okay, let me check. I'm gonna move to, let me check, to my GitHub account. So Strikoder GitHub. And, nah, not this. Okay. GitHub link. Okay, I believe, yeah, that would be good. I'm gonna move to repositories, CTFs, not the CTFs, OSCP toolkit, and over here I'm gonna move to the OSCP scripts and enumeration scripts, and here we find auth LDAP. So I believe I had that with -h, but I want to check that again. So the example, maybe I need to edit the script to print an example. So here I see, okay, LDAP password. Alright, so maybe the issue is because I don't provide the password with a single quotation, because we've seen the password, it completes with strange stuff as our virtual. So let me check. Okay, we're still getting with Mishael. Okay, so accept security context error, which is extremely strange. Let me think about it. So let me try LDAP auth, IP, user, password, domain, and okay, providing the LDAP and not providing it still the same as intended in the script. So invalid credentials is our error. We see here. Okay, and over here invalid credentials. So with LDAP and LDAP-S we have the same thing, echo IP. Let me check the credentials, echo user, echo password. Alright, so here we have the IP, the user, the password. Let me check again, echo domain. Okay, so the domain is not correct. Alright. So it's still stuck with the from the last video to the time lapse, which is extremely strange. I believed we had that exported in the beginning of the video. Maybe I forgot. So let me check. I'm gonna provide everything just by copying, just in case. You see how password acts strangely. So I'm gonna put that in single quotation, maybe that's the issue. And I'm gonna provide the domain, time lapse, and gonna run that. So got an error again. What's the issue? That's strange. Let me check over here. That's strange. So I try over here. Okay. So LDAP search worked as intentioned. Okay. So we see entered LDAP password, which is strange. So I don't really know what's happening over here. Maybe if you know, let me know in the comment section. That's extremely strange what's happening. Let me check over here. Okay. I'm gonna think about it. So we see over here everything ran correctly with SMB. Let me get back to netexec and I'm gonna run LDAP by netexec. And I'm gonna enumerate the IP, the user, the password, and yep, we can authenticate. Okay, dash users, I believe dash users, yep. Okay, so we're gonna enumerate from here, and we see that's what I wanted to do from the beginning, the description. So either by using my script, but over there I had time lapse, so that's why it didn't work. But I just wanted to share another like technique how to check the description, because you don't see that in Bloodhound. So you can either use the script over here because it prints the description, and you can check the script. Over here you can see it prints or uses LDAP search under the hood, and we're grabbing the context to know the description for which user, and we're checking the users that have no password or have a different than the policy password policy, which they usually end with 32, and cascade legacy. So we had an a Xbox machine about that called, I believe, cascade or legacy, I cannot recall. So we can use the LDAP and fill out the param. So I'm gonna leave the pass over here. I really hope I will not get the same strange password that I've got already a few times in this video. And I'm gonna add the user over here. I'm just gonna try to show you different tools doing the same thing, and dash b domain. So under the hood, okay, could not parse LDAP. URI, that's strange. So at least netexec worked. Let me check over here. So over here it worked. You need the dash h and to provide the LDAP, but you see here I had the time lapse, so that's why it didn't give us the correct. So I'm just gonna copy that over here, and I'm gonna delete those because Linux will be mad at us. And I'm gonna type LDAP, the IP. I'm gonna type everything manually just in case I don't want to get more errors. So 188.218, and over here I'm gonna type Michael dot Wrightstone dot, okay, so dot c. Okay, let me check again. Okay, domain cicada dot hackthebox. So dot cicada dot hackthebox. The password, the strange password that we've got. I don't know if that intended or not. but that's extremely strange. Let me know in the comment section, please, if you know why does this happen, or does this happen to you as well. So here, not time lapse, which is why we've had issues, but Cicada and HackTheBox. As you're seeing, the password makes strange stuff again, so it messes everything up in the terminal. I don't really know, is that because of the tmux? You can see here Python and run the payload, lhost. I don't even think that I've ran this Python before, 43900. I've searched for that CVE. So, okay, at least we can get them by another tool, which is netexec. I'm gonna take this password and spray that into the other users that we've had. So let me export that. I'm using just export over here. I'm not using export all, just to show you. And now everything in memory. And I'm gonna type netexec. I'm gonna spray the SMB first. Then we can move to WinRM since we have that opened. You can check RDB as well if you are interested, but we don't have RDB in this case because it's an easy machine. Let me check where are the usernames. So in results and usernames, so I need to provide the IP, -u for users, -b for the password that I want to spray. You can provide either a file or one password. And okay, now we've got a new user. Let me try and spray successfully on all users by using continue on success. So over here, David Aurelius, which is an amazing name, I would say, and Emily Oscars as well. Okay, let's get back to our stuff. So netexec. Now I'm gonna provide user2, pass2. This makes stuff easier. So continue on success. We don't need continue on success, but I'm just trying to spray WinRM. This makes things easier to me as typing the username and password each time. So I really like that about the terminal. You can do that in Porsche as well, but the syntax is more complicated. Or maybe easier for the Win admins, but not for the Lean ones. So auth SMB, let me check. Maybe we have more access by this user. So by shares, probably now we're gonna, okay. Wait, what? It failed. Why did it fail? What's happening over here? So we've had pass policy extracted, but connection error. The NetBIOS connection with the remote. Okay, something's happening here. I'm gonna let the script cook and see what's happening. So let me check the spider. Maybe now we have more. Okay, so the spider plus, that's amazing. Spider plus show us the shares that we have access, but the dash shares didn't. Maybe due to a VPN issue or internet connectivity. Thanks, Germany. Like the internet here is much worse than in Russia. I was in Moscow for a time and the internet there was much faster than here and much cheaper, I would say. Okay, so let me cat netexec spider. Okay, so I'm gonna move to here because it's a directory. And what the IP do we have? Okay, this. So we see all the stuff. So we have dev. We have access now to a share called dev, which is extremely intriguing to me. So let me clear and not clear, just move to another panel, and I'm gonna use SMB client, type forward slash IP, and then provide the -u. Then let me check the username. So I'm checking them here. Okay, and then %, then the password. So don't forget, if you are using export all and repeating after me, we've used only export this time. We didn't use export all, so the password pass2 here, it differs from pass2 in other panels. So we've got access, help, okay. Now we see the backup script. Let me get that to my machine, and we've got that. You can either use SMB client or mount. I'm probably gonna use mount in later videos. Now let's check. So Emily Oscars, which has a fantastic name. So this is my Leute. This is the script of how to make a user and password in PowerShell. And here we see completed successfully. Backup file saved to backup file path. Okay, that's great. So let's get that to export all. And I'm gonna export Emily as the third user and export all the password that we have, which is this password. Let me copy that. Unfortunately, as I've told you, Tmux sucks with Kali Linux. I don't have this issue on Ubuntu, by the way, by going up and taking the password from there. So I've just could have used my mouse and like go with the mouse over there and just copy that, and easy peasy. However, I'm gonna provide the single quotes because we have some characters like the escalation mark, not escalation. Escalation is IT support. Exclamation mark, I believe. Okay. Anyhow, net exec IB user 3 pass 3. What do you need to provide as well? Dash domain, I believe. Dash D. Yeah. Domain. And let's try. What do we have? So, what? Guest? Is everything correct over here? Let me check. So, pass 3. So, I'm using. Okay, net exec. Alright. SMB. Okay. IB. User 3. Okay, so I don't have the $sign. Alright, yeah, okay. Makes sense. That's why we have guest access, not the usual access. And we see we've tried to access as user 3 and pass 3. Now we can try with the WinRM, and we see pound. Okay, so we have access with the high privilege account. So I really like to use evil-winrm. There are many tools, but I really like evil-winrm because you can memorize the script easily, and you can use the -h, I believe, for hashes, and -k maybe for the Ccache files. And first of all, I try to start always with directory to check if there are files within the directory that I'm in. Then I move to desktop. Let me copy the flag, move to here, paste the flag, and submit it. So what can we do as well? So I really follow specific steps to escalate my privileges on a Windows machine. I've talked about that a few times, that I use my nodes.
like my methodology of escalating privileges. So in this machine, we are on a Windows machine, and here you can see my nodes. So here I always like to start with directory force to the directory that I'm in, that I get the shell with, and whoami-all to check my privileges, the groups, so the remote management users. That's why we have WinRM access, pre-Windows 2000 compatible access. That's probably telling us that there is at least a machine extremely old on the domain. And we see we have backup privilege, backup restore, restore privilege, I mean backup privilege and restore privilege. And we are in the backup operators group, which I've spoken about, right, in the beginning of the video, where we have netexec module specific for that. So privilege, okay, and let's check over here my nodes. So I start by copying those. So as I've mentioned in the beginning of the video as well, I've talked a little bit about the registry. So here we're trying to get the system hive from the registry of this machine, and then gonna move them to our machine and use secret dumps to dump all the data. You can use, if you have RDB, Mimikatz. So over here we try to save them into our directory. So okay, we've got an error. Save C Emily user, Emily Oscar, I mean Cicada. So capital letters. I don't think so, because we're not a Unix machine, Unix based. It's a Windows. So capital and smalls doesn't make a difference. So we've just missed an S. Let me copy paste this as well. Remove the user, Emily, Oscars. So it's not a must to save them into desktop just because I'm there most of the time. That's why I have that on my notes. But if you are a red teamer, or if you are a red teamer, probably you won't be watching these easy Windows machine. So that's why I'm improving my notes over time. So over here we have the SAM, we have the system and Hive. So we've done with the system, we have done with SAM, now we have them on the local machine. And secret dump dash SAM for the SAM file, dash system, I believe, or just sys, I believe, yeah, dash system for the system.hive. And then I believe we have dash local or dash local. Oh, without any dashes, okay. Then we have these NTLM hashes. I'm gonna just take the NT part and use psexec dash hash or dash hashes to be more precise, administrator at IP. Okay, if I might type that correctly, at $IP. Do we need to provide anything more? So we had an issue. Okay, what do we have? User, password, domain, option.hashes. So hashes.split, okay. As they say in Russian, on ruгается, потому что мы пропустили semicolon. So who am I? We are anti-authority system. Let's get the hash over there. CD users. So he was sad because we've missed the semicolon. We've added that type root, take the flag, and pass that into here. So thank you guys for watching. Be sure to leave a comment and subscribe and watch the other videos, and see you.